What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Show. So today, this might be controversial. I don't know. I hope it's really not. I don't think it's controversial. But today I kind of wanted to address something that I see as a bit of an issue in kind of the Guntube or whatever you want to call it sphere. I don't really consider myself a gun tuber, but I do put out videos about guns. Not exclusively, but I do put out videos on guns. So I don't know what you want to call me. But anyways, I just kind of want to address something. I've seen a lot of videos lately where guys are talking about how something like this is kind of useless in a shit hits the fan scenario or whatever. And they talk about this just strictly being your secondary, and then if you're not training on something like this as your primary weapon system, then you're doing it wrong, according to these people, right? And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you should have both. Okay. I'm not saying I don't think you should have both, but as a civilian, you're not law enforcement, you're not military. I mean, if you are, I appreciate it. I thank you for your service, but I'm not. I'm just a normal dude. I got a family. I work 8-10 hours a day, rinse, wash, repeat, right? So I think there's an issue, and I'm not saying there's an issue with the guys that are putting out these kind of videos. I think it's great educational content. I think there's a lot of stuff that can be learned from their videos. But I just kind of want to really dial down on the fact that we are not in the military. We're not police. We're civilians. Okay. So I think that people should, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everybody already has this mindset. I don't know, but I've just been seeing a lot of rifle content from a lot of gun tubers lately and stuff like that. And I enjoy watching it. I learn from it. And I myself am trying to up my rifle skills this year. I did a video a while back, my top goals for 2025. And one of those is to become a better rifle shooter, because I do primarily focus on my handguns. But I just kind of want to drill it home that as a normal civilian, this is your primary. Okay. This is clear, by the way. Clear. She's clear. All right. And just for anybody that's concerned, this one's clear too. But obviously, we are not in a without rule of law scenario. Okay. So your context as a civilian, you're not going to have a long gun on you. I'm going to say at least 90% of the time. I mean, this is a little context dependent, depending on where you live, things of that nature. But as civilians, especially like whether the apocalypse happens or not, right? Like I would encourage everybody to focus way more on your handgun as far as your training, your time, your energy, effort, money, all of that goes. This is your primary weapon system. Okay. If you're anywhere that's not in your house or on your ranch, you might have a rifle, right? Something like that. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking from your day-to-day life, your average person. You're going to run errands, you're going to do something like that. Like, this is what you have on you. Okay. So if anything pops off when you're out and about, even if you got a rifle in your truck, okay, this is still your primary weapon system. Okay. This is not, in my opinion, this is not what you use to fight to your rifle to then neutralize a threat or anything like that. This is your primary weapon system as a civilian. And we fantasize about, or not fantasize, but we talk about and we kind of go through these thought exercises on all these without rule of law scenarios and everything else. But I still think even in those scenarios, something like a Glock 19 or a full size Glock 17 or a CZ-P10C or something like that. That is what you should be focused on. And I'm not necessarily even talking about things like a Glock 43X or something like that, some of the smaller, kind of more micro 9mm guns. I'm talking about something that's a compact or a full-size gun with a good quality holster, with a weapon light and a red dot. And if you don't like red dots, solid iron sights. Okay. And even if you do have a red dot, I still recommend solid backup iron sights. Because batteries die, we forget things, shit breaks, shit happens. Okay. So I think, and obviously it's not going to be totally cheap. Like if you want to set a gun up like this with an acro and a streamlight and backup iron sights, like you're talking, this is like $700. This is more money than the gun's worth in accessories, especially when you factor in a good holster and things like that. But I think as a civilian, you should be focusing, and this is the approach that I take. And if you think I'm wrong, please let me know down below. Also, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. But I think as a civilian, we are sometimes distracted by all the stuff on YouTube and on the internet with all the sexy AR content and all that stuff. Like, your primary weapon is going to be what you have on you. It's going to be your EDC, your concealed carry, something like that. And I carry the Glock 43X quite a bit. And I'm actually, the biggest reason that I do that is because I live in a state that's restricted to 10-round magazines. So I'm carrying a 43X with 10 rounds. I'm carrying a Glock 19 with 10 rounds. It doesn't really matter what the handgun is that I have on me. It's only going to have 10 rounds in it, 10 plus 1, that kind of deal. But I still shoot my 19 better than my 43X. Even though I shoot my 43X more, I can still pick my 19 up and shoot a little bit better with it because it's a bigger gun. It's easier to handle the recoil. It's got a longer barrel and a heavier slide, things like that. And here's the thing too, and I know guys touch on this in some videos as well, but rifle skills don't really translate into making you a better pistol shooter, but pistol skills will translate into making you a better rifle shooter. And this was explained to me when I first got into taking my training more seriously. I took a inside the waistband concealed carry like handgun class with a very good former Green Beret instructor. And after I took that handgun class, I was like, all right, man, I want to do my rifle next. And he was like, honestly, bro, no. He was like, we're going to do more classes with your handgun. And once you've become proficient, more than proficient with your handgun, then we'll move into the rifle. And that's how he explained it to me, because pistol skills will translate to improving your rifle skills, but it doesn't work vice versa. Rifle skills are not going to help you improve your pistol shooting skills. Okay. Is it easier for anybody to shoot an AR than a handgun? Yeah, 100%. You've got more points of contact. It's got a longer barrel. Obviously, like, it's a totally different system. And it's a far more efficient and lethal round most of the time, right? But it doesn't matter, in my opinion, if you're in a without rule of law scenario, if you're in a with rule of law scenario, you're always probably going to have your everyday carry on you. And if you don't, you should, right? And even if it's, let's say you're out and about, right, and shit does hit the fan, okay? Now you got to walk home, right? Are you going to be walking home with a rifle slung if you have one with you? I don't know. Maybe. Are you painting a target on your back because of that? Maybe. Or is it easier to just have this in your pants where no one can see it? You have a get off me defensive tool, a way to break contact and try and remove yourself from that situation. You shouldn't be looking for gunfights with rule of law, without rule of law. You really shouldn't be trying to get in gunfights, because eventually you're going to get fucking shot. Okay. Even if you have a plate carrier, what happens when you get hit in the plate? Now your plates are garbage. What happens if you get shot again after that? Stuff like that. So, like, you shouldn't be looking for gunfights. But all I'm saying is these are lightweight. Like, even this gun with everything on it and a full magazine, it weighs a lot less than, I mean, I grabbed this AR because this is a very lightweight AR, right? This is a Ruger AR-556. It's got a carbine length gas system. It's got a plastic handguard. It was my first AR I bought. And it's an entry-level rifle. I think it's a solid entry-level rifle. Like, don't get me wrong. But this thing, just by adding a light, a sling, and a red dot, this thing's pushing over 7 pounds probably, right? This is not. Okay, you can stick this in your pants. You can't stick that in your pants. And I guess I keep kind of beating this point a little bit, but like, you're going to have your pistol on you. You're not always going to have your rifle on you. And it's kind of regardless of the context, right? Like, even people in war zones, if they're at their base or whatever and they're not on duty, they're hanging out shooting the shit. Most likely they got a sidearm on them and not a rifle, right? So you should be training for in my opinion, which I guess take it with a grain of salt because I'm just a random dude on the internet, but in my opinion, you should be focusing the majority of your training and your time and your money on trying to be as proficient as humanly possible with your handgun, and then move into the rifle. So I'm not saying don't have both. I'm not saying that at all, because I think the rifle skills are important too, because like I said, they're way more effective than a handgun in most scenarios, right? And sure, a lot of people use ARs for home defense and stuff like that, and I kind of switch back and forth. Like, this has been my home defense gun lately. Set up just like it is, right? Red dot, TLR7. I am going to upgrade this to one of the new TLR7. I think it's the HLX. So this is a 500 lumen light, and I like these better because it's flush with my barrel. So when I stick this in my pants, I don't have a light sticking out longer than my barrel hitting me in the junk. That's the primary reason that I run these TLR7As a lot. But the HLX, it only sticks out like slightly further than this, and you double your lumen output. This is a 500 lumen light. The HLX is 1,000 lumens, I believe, and higher candela too. So if you go out and let's say you're new to guns, right? Everyone should get a handgun first because it's easy to carry, it's lightweight, and as a civilian, it's the best way to be able to protect yourself in places outside of the home. That's where you should be focusing. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it in this video, and I'm sorry if it's repetitive. And then when you look at like a without rule of law scenario too, like I already mentioned, like if you're not home when this shit pops off, this is your lifeline still, okay? And again, or let's say you're at the mall, right, or whatever, and there's a mass shooter. Are you gonna like, and this kind of drives me nuts too. Like, these dudes show all these like backpack gun loadouts, and they keep a pistol caliber carbine in their backpack or in their trunk, or they keep a folded up AR or a broken down AR in their vehicle, you know, stuff like that. Like, if there's an active shooter, are you going to immediately engage with your handgun, or are you going to try and be a hero, run out to your car, throw on your chest rig or your plates or whatever, grab your AR, run back into the action, and then get in a gunfight with this dude as he's already been mowing people down? Like, come on. If anything, if you're with your family, your immediate concern is getting your family to safety. Okay, if you're alone and you think you can easily neutralize the threat with your EDC, then do it. Okay, but if you go run back to your vehicle or whatever, you go grab your long gun or your pistol carbine or anything like that, and then you go back in to re-engage this dude, and let's say you do it. You take the guy out, congratulations. You just saved people's lives. What do you do when the cops show up? Have the cops already shown up while you're in a gunfight with this dude, and now there's just another random dude with plates and an AR? The cops are probably going to smoke your ass too, right? So it's not, I've engaged, I've put my target down, now I'm going to safely reholster and wait for the police to arrive. Or if the police are here already, I'm going to safety reholster and say, hey, I'm just a normal dude that was carrying that did the right thing. So I'm not saying rifles aren't important. I'm not saying you shouldn't train with your rifle, but I'm saying that your primary focus as a civilian should be on your handgun. And then once you've gotten to a certain level of proficiency, which I would say is at least 25 yards and in with this thing, on the move, different lighting conditions, stuff like that, you're going to still have to maintain those skills. They're perishable skills. So let's say you can only go shoot for 2 hours once a month, right? I'm saying you should be spending at least an hour and a half probably shooting this. And at the end, just maybe a half hour staying familiar with your rifle and that weapon system. Because that's the other thing that people talk about it. It is easier to, stay proficient with a rifle when you're training a little less than it is with a handgun. And I don't know if you guys are like me and like life gets in the way, right? And let's say you haven't been to the range in 2 months. And then you go to the range and you go shoot and you're like, wow, okay, like I shot terrible today. Like it's been too long since I've been away from the range. I slacked on my dry fire a little bit. Like, it's kind of an eye opener. And it happens to me sometimes, and I've been shooting handguns for years. So all I'm trying to say is rifles have their place and they are important, especially in a without rule of law scenario. But your handgun is going to be far more important, especially during rule of law, but even after without rule of law. If you're in a get home scenario or a bug out scenario, even way easier to take this with you. Okay, way less of a target on your back with this on you too. And a lot of guys talk about the Minuteman thing. Okay, so we'll talk about that too. If you're a Minuteman or you're in a Minuteman type of scenario, right? And let's say you're playing kind of an insurgent role and you want to go disrupt something or cause some havoc somewhere and you got to get in and out and be low key and everything else, like, is it easier for you to carry that out and get away with it when you're all kitted up and with a rifle? Or is it easier for you to just have this on you for personal protection? This can get tossed too, or whatever, which is why I always recommend having more than one of your favorite handgun. That's not the only reason, but there's a plethora, but we're just talking about this exact example. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say. But like I said, I'm just trying to drive home that this is where your focus needs to be as a civilian. And it will serve you far better in far more aspects of your life than if you view this as a secondary, don't train on it very much, and focus more on your rifle. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think down below. If you like this stuff, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 500 subs. I'm close, getting real close. And then after that, hopefully we hit our 1,000. We hit our 4,000 hours views, and you can start dealing with ads on my videos after that. That's the goal, right? But I am humbled for all your support, and I do appreciate you. And until next time, I'll see you later.